Hey, it's Hubs here, and it's time for a mercenary video on a subject that I've been wanting to cover for a while now, which is general tips and tricks for new players, and some that might actually be useful for some veteran players, as some of these will not be actually common knowledge for the general player base. So let's begin. The first thing I want to cover is how to spend your gold early on when you're actually getting into this game mode. One thing in particular that you should never actually spend any gold to upgrade is the training grounds. The training grounds was introduced to actually help you level up mercenaries while you're offline, but it honestly isn't really worth it, even for new players, as leveling up mercenaries isn't the hardest part. It is getting the coins, and this does nothing to solve that issue. And because gold is so hard to actually earn within mercenaries, wasting some gold on this is never really a really good option unless you just have a ton of gold sitting around. However, unlike the training grounds, the campfire is always good to upgrade fully because you can actually farm tasks easily given the new changes to how tasks actually work, and it's probably going to be the primary way as a new player that you're going to get new tasks. And for the final thing that you're probably wondering, is it worth spending gold on? Packs. Packs are really good to spend gold on if you are early on in your collection process. And speaking of coins and how to generate enough coins for a given mercenary that you may want to unlock or you currently have, the biggest tip that I can actually suggest is just farming tasks. Tasks are the easiest way to actually get a bunch of coins for a given mercenary. Even if you don't have it unlocked, you can actually get packs for the last 3 tasks of every single mercenary. Easiest way to actually farm packs early on, and generally will probably be the main source of packs that you actually do generate within this game mode if you don't spend a lot of real money or gold on packs. But you might be asking, what happens once you run out of tasks to actually get more coins for a given mercenary? Well, the easiest way to actually farm individual coins for a given mercenary is by doing the first heroic bounty in the Barrens, with only the mercenary that you actually want to get the coins for, or if the given mercenary doesn't have enough damage to actually complete it by themselves, try to double up or even triple up with the mercenaries that you want to get coins for. It's going to be a little bit of a slower rate than just going in with one mercenary, but you will always be guaranteed 1 out of those 3 mercenaries for coins, and is honestly the quickest way to gather coins up for any mercenary that you don't have maxed out. And while we're on the subject of 1-1, it is also probably the best location to do most tasks that you might have a weird condition that you might need to fulfill, as you can easily set up a given mercenary that is used in a bunch of task completion. Cookie. Cookie is really good to complete any task where you might have to fulfill some condition that might be really hard to make, especially because he has the ability Go Fish, which will allow you to just repeat any interaction that you actually have to do over and over again. There are very few tasks in this game mode that you cannot complete using Cookie as a way to make your life a lot easier, and he is probably one of the mercenaries that I would recommend trying to unlock as quickly as humanly possible, just because of his Go Fish ability, so you have an easier time on completing tasks. And speaking of tasks, even though it has been recently nerfed given the changes to the tasks where you keep getting the individual tasks for every mercenary until you complete them all, the best way to actually get tasks outside of the daily reset is still going to be the Fellwood bounty Lord Bane Hollow. So this bounty can actually be easily done with quite a few different mercenary builds, and most of these builds only require you to have 3 mercenaries, so it's easy to actually farm 3 individual tasks for any 3 mercenaries that you actually want to try to get their tasks done for. And that's the reason why you would use it back in the past before the recent changes. And if you do run out of tasks to actually do within a given day and you don't want to wait until the reset, then this is the perfect place to actually do it, as he is just pretty easy to actually beat without much effort, and you can one-shot all the waves of ads until you actually get to the boss. Which brings us to the next subject. Builds that you can actually use to complete most bounties within the game, or ones that are really good to help you farm individual bounties so you can actually get coins for a given mercenary if you don't want to just do the 1-1 trick. So the first one in question when it comes to these types of builds is Fire. Fire is one of the most widely used farming builds or just to allow you to actually complete any type of bounty. And for the most part, you really only need Ragnaros and Geddon. You have the option between Chiji and Tinnitus or Belinda as your third mercenary. You don't need all 5 of them in the same team, but I did want to point this out here. For Geddon, you're going to use Mark of Conflagration as his equipment to increase his fire combo damage. Ragnaros is going to be using Blazing Rune to increase all your fire damage, and Belinda, depending on what the actual bounty is, I usually just leave her with lesser water elemental, but some people do use lesser fire elemental instead. Or if you don't have Belinda and Tinnitus, people use Cinder Core Staff, and for Chi-Ji, you just basically use Blazing Band. But again, you only really need Ragnaros and Geddon. The other one, you can choose whichever one you have the easiest access to. I just wanted to point this out. With Mallet as a way to increase his damage even further, and the main combo within this build is to use Anduin's Holy Nova in combination with Belin's Blessing in order to do a bunch of AoE damage to just wipe the board, while also just spamming Blinding Luminance on Zyrilla. The issue with these two builds, however, is they're actually quite high cost because they do use a bunch of legendary or epic mercenaries. So if you are looking for a more budget friendly option for clearing out individual bounties or even just farming up bounties and you don't care about how long it actually takes you to do so, Dragons is always a great option, with Sinestra being your main source of damage within this build, where we're using Mana Brooch in order to increase the amount of HP that is restored from Mana Barrier and reduce the damage she takes by 5, or whoever she actually casts it on. And you're mainly using Mana Barrier here and Twilight Extinction. The next mercenary is Brightwing, who we're using with Pixie Pouch as an additional healer. And finally, we are using Yu'lon with Pearl of Yu'lon to reduce the damage our dragons actually take, and just basically spamming her first ability. This build can actually clear out most bounties within the game, and it only has one epic mercenary on the entire team, which is Brightwing, but you could in theory replace her with something else like Zyrilla. This is just more consistent. It will take you a while to clear out any bounty, but it will be able to clear most. And finally, if you are just a completely brand new player and you don't have any other mercenaries, a team of Cariel, Samuro, and Zyrilla will get you pretty far into the individual bounty levels. Though this is going to give you a little bit of a harder time, and you will want to try to push for one of the other builds that I mentioned before. But this is the most budget friendly. You can use Tome of Light plus Samuro's Burning Blade and Zyrilla's Radiant Wand in order to clear out a good chunk of bounties. And this does come up here and there on some of the later bounties too. But honestly, I recommend either trying to get the fire build or the dragon build as quickly as possible if you're only looking to do PvE. But there is another side of this game mode, PvP. I haven't actually done any PvP this month, which is why this video is actually coming out. Something that is often overlooked when it comes to PvP is it's actually really good to actually level up your individual mercenaries if you are a brand new player, as you will probably be paired against some bots if you do have underleveled mercenaries, and it does allow you to get a bunch of XP. Usually whenever you do this, the first win or two is going to give you like 8 levels on an individual mercenary. Sure, if you queue up into someone who actually has their mercenaries leveled up, you're going to get wrecked, but if you manage to actually win, this is probably honestly the quickest way to actually level them up. Though there is a warning that I do need to give when it comes to rating and your end of month rewards, or even your just monthly rewards. If you pass one of these thresholds and you have lost a game, you will not get the rewards. This has been a bug since the beginning of this game mode, and it hasn't been fixed yet to my knowledge. And the final tip for this video is something that most people will need to know going into Mercenaries at least on the PvP end. So the subject in question is speed ties. Speed ties occur when more than one mercenary has the same speed on their ability and are used on the same turn. The player who has the more mercenaries within a given speed tie is probably going to be the one that actually wins, as they do have a higher chance, and once they do have one of their abilities go off, the other abilities that also speed tie with that ability are also just going to go off before the opponent that they're facing who lost the given speed tie in question, as seen in the clip behind me right now. It's one of those subjects that not a lot of people fully understand, as it is a percentage chance for each individual speed tie. So let's say you have 3 mercenaries, as in the clip behind me, that all have a speed of 5, and then your opponent has 1. You're going to have a 75% chance of actually winning the speed tie instead of a 50-50 split, because you have 3 compared to their 1. Alright, so those are all the tips and tricks I have for new players, and some of these might be useful for veteran players who have been playing the game for quite a while, as some of these tactics and tricks aren't always the most well known. But if I missed anything, please let me know down below, and like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.